on the first 3 days of this week, or should I say from Friday last week, have been about raising again time to talk about the implementation or ratification of the Nadco report to have a functional IBC. We talk about that this morning, plus many other. My name is Simba Kiage. The hashtag is the morning drift. You're online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. We come with a look at your dailies this morning. Let's take a look at the Daily Nation then. This morning, they're talking about nightmare, license to kill. Border riders across the country are a law unto themselves, mostly unlicensed. They speed on wrong lanes, jump traffic lights, and ride on pedestrian walkways while carrying excess passengers and huge loads right under the noses of police officers. And this has only served to fuel a trail of broken limbs, avoided deaths, and devastated families. It's a story that has been covered on page 6, 7, and 8 this morning. A look at that particular sector, and every other driver in the country or any other passenger in the country essentially will tell you that they have some sort of story to tell when it comes to the border riders in the country. You want to read that story? Carrier warns employers denying disabled staff 36,700 at tax relief. Story has been covered on page 21. A Kenyan has been named new president of Open Society Foundations. Story has been covered on page 9. There's a story here on Haiti police deployment, which is still on. That's according to Kithure Kindiki. Story has been covered on page 2. And there's a story here on page 3 on my friend student and Xavier Ngugi Wadiongo tribute to Henry Shakava. You can read that story on page 3. On the back page of the Daily Nation, there's a story here on rural hospitals set to reject NHIF cuts amid claims row, where the organization of 400 hospitals in 43 counties plan to reject NHIF cuts starting next month. I want to see exactly how that is. There's a story here on page 5 where they're talking at 35, where they're talking about how the Kenya Premier League is losing sponsors and the prestige over time due to tinkering and meddling by officials. I won't read that story on page 35. Let's go over to the Standard. It's talking about infidelity, murder, and bizarre rant. A story here of Evans Kosgei, who made scary remarks about his wife, Jacqueline Kimayo, accusing her of cheating and warned of dire consequences on his social media platforms, tagged newsrooms and the police. Then he did the unthinkable, slaughtered his wife and hanged himself. That is Evans Kosgei, who's 33 years old, and the murdered, the victim is Jacqueline Kimayo, who was 29 years old. I'm going to read that story on page 4. And this is what he said. Rest in peace, my dear wife. I loved you. We promised each other so many things, but I did not know I was alone in those plans. That's the last message or by the security guard on his X account. The story here on what RUTO told Kenya Kwanza MCAs at State House meeting. Story has been covered on page 5. And 3-horse race in the EPL with the Arsenal top. Story has been covered on page 40. And there's a story here on Azimio picks team to audit at 2022 elections. Opposition coalition names former Busia Senator Amos Mwako, a former nominated senator and a forensic expert for the panel to audit the disputed election. Page 7. Story here on what is cooking between Wanjigi and Oparanya. New twist in ODM succession politics as Deputy Party Leader Wycliffe Oparanya meets Jimmy Wanjigi of Safina amid his rivalry with former Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho. The story has been covered on page 6. Korea faults state's illicit brews fight. Public service sponsors Korea criticizes latest government bid to tackle alcoholism. Central calls for soft and intellectual approach to the problem. Speaking on a local radio station, Spice FM yesterday, the CS also accused the taxman of subsidizing illicit brews. Story has been covered on page 8. Story here again on page 3 on Monica RUTO's struggle to get a job after losing a leg. Story has been covered on page 3. Finally, just who will have the last laugh is a story that was covered on the back page of the Standard. And if you do know, then you do know that Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City, there's only 1 point separating those three. With Liverpool and Arsenal at 64 points, Man City at 63 points, all having played 28 games on the chart as it currently is. The goal difference though between Liverpool and Arsenal is 7. Arsenal 46 against Liverpool's 39 and Man City's 35. Who's going to take it? We do know Arsenal is going to take it for all the Arsenal faithfuls in the country. Let's just take a look at what the Business Daily is talking about this morning. All indexes essentially from the day before yesterday on the positive. NSE 20 share index at 0.65%, NSE all share 0.65% on the positive. It's a pointing out to positivity in the market right now, for the positive sentiment right there. And the story, some story here about how 400 rural hospitals to reject NHIF cuts over 6 billion shillings debt. You're going to read that story on the Business Daily this morning, right? We take a tiny breather. Once we come back again, we'll be taking a look at what it is that you are waking up to this morning and our news this morning. Good morning. Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki now says Kenyan forces will proceed to Haiti as earlier planned after the government signing of a reciprocal agreement with the government of Haiti and what looked like rubbishing claims of officers developing cold feet. As the situation in Haiti gets out of hand, Kindiki noted that the process was at its pre-deployment state, insisting that it was the country's obligation as a member of the United Nations.
There was a small court matter. That small matter has been resolved because the court said we needed to have a reciprocal agreement with Haiti. That reciprocal agreement has already been signed about a week ago. So we are now in the pre-deployment stage. All the other programs are in place, including the status of forces agreement and the laws on detention, arrests, and other enforcement measures are now in place. The standard operation procedures are in place, and Kenyan police officers will be just part of the multinational security mission in Haiti. Kenya is the lead nation, but there are so many other countries that have pledged to contribute troops. And this came from the mandate of the United Nations Security Council. So it's part of our international obligations. The court matter has been addressed. And that other rumor you are talking about, I think tell the source of that rumor to return it wherever it came from.
No one will be exempted in the fight against drug abuse and the sale of illicit brew. This is according to CS Kithure Kindiki. According to the boss, those found culpable will be arraigned under the same charges as terrorists, noting that at no point will the government prioritize commercial services over state security.
With the crackdown on the sale of illicit brew and drug substances ongoing for the third consecutive day across the country, with hundreds already arrested, Interior Boss Professor Kithure Kindiki now says that those found culpable will be arraigned with same charges as terrorists.
We are going to introduce new laws. These laws will categorize those who sell, distribute, and consume hard drugs, psychotropic substances, and illicit killer brews. We categorize them as dangerous criminals, and we will be prosecuting them using the most punitive measures that are ever found in our statute books. In other words, where we have placed terrorists, organized leaders of organized crime, including banditry, that's where we have placed those people who are engaged in this destructive business.
According to the first-time cabinet secretary, the crackdown will not be a short-time operation, with at least 300 people already arrested.
This operation is a perpetual and standing operation until this problem is eradicated in our country. We have arrested nearly 300 people in the last 3 days. We have done 765 raids across Machakos County. We have apprehended motor vehicles that have been used to transport drugs and illicit, including counterfeit alcohol that is dangerous to public health.
Speaking in Machakos County, Kindiki noted that not only those who sell drugs and illicit brew will be arrested, but also handlers and enablers of the business.
We have declared that those who manufacture, transport, distribute, and even consume hard drugs and killer brews and psychotropic substances, those that follow in that category are enemies of Kenya, just like terrorists, bandits, and organized criminals.
The CS also emphasized that at no point in time will the government prioritize commercial services over the country's security.
We will not entertain any commercial, economic, or social interests to override the national security interests.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
President William RUTO has urged Kenya Kwanza members of county assemblies to understand the political alliance's manifesto so that they can explain it to Kenyans at the grassroots. He said the government is implementing a host of programs aimed at transforming the lives of Kenyans. He cited subsidized fertilizer, universal healthcare, housing, and ICT hubs, among others, noting that some farmers have not received subsidized fertilizer because they are unregistered. The president asked members of the county assembly to mobilize them for registration in their wards. He made the remarks on Monday during the Kenya Kwanza members of county assemblies consultative meeting at State House, Nairobi.
They appeared at State House, Nairobi to have a one-on-one conversation with the head of state. Members of the county assembly under the Kenya Kwanza regime were guests at the House on the Hill, listening to the president whipping them in line with the Kenya Kwanza's agenda. The president said the Kenya Kwanza administration is committed to changing the politics of the country by keeping its promises to the people.
And we are sticking to our plan. And it is because tunataka kubadilisha siasa ya Kenya. Pale nyuma, it was fashionable kusema maneno ambayo you don't believe in. Ukishapata nafasi ya uongozi unaenda unasahau, alafu unarudi tena unakuja kusema mambo mengine. What we are going to do this time round, we are going to implement our manifesto to the letter, because hatukwenda kwa wananchi kwenda kuwadanganya, tulienda kuwaambia tutafanya program.
RUTO called on issue-based politics, urging MCAs to shun tribal politics.
Tunaelewana, my friends? That is where we need to move our politics, so that we get away from ethnicity, negative vibes around hii ni wakabila hii, wale ni wakabila ile. Tuachane na hiyo siasa. Tuweke siasa ya kuunganisha wa Kenya, because I promise you, there is no way one community can progress in Kenya and leave the other communities behind. It is not possible, because we live in the same country. Sindio? So we must focus on how to grow Kenya together. And let me tell you, if we grow this country together, everybody, every community, every county, every region will benefit if we do it together. And we have what it takes to do it together. So I want to urge you as leaders at the grassroots, let us focus on our plan. Na tusikubali wale watu wanataka kutuchochea ukabila o hawa wale. No, we must focus on delivery of our plan. Unanielewa?
RUTO asked MCAs to read and understand the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, as this will help in championing for the ruling party at the grassroots level. President RUTO has called on the Kenya Kwanza members of the County Assembly to be on the front line in championing for the government's agricultural agenda, saying that the government is building 500 fresh produce markets across the country to boost the quality of agricultural produce.
Mimi nataka niwaulize kama viongozi wa mashinani. You have a role to play. Wewe kama kiongozi wa mashinani, you have a duty kusumbuana na governor, kusumbuana na watu wa NCBB, kuhakikisha kwamba watu wako kwa ward yako wanapata mbolea.
To encourage transparency, the president asked the county legislatures to consider amending their standing orders to allow county executive committee members to answer questions in their assemblies, as in the case now in the national parliament. DP Gachagua called on MCAs to work with the government to ensure the delivery of development agenda. He also urged the MCAs to enact laws that will support the government's fight against alcoholism. Brian Amwai, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Let's move on then. Kajiado County lost millions of shillings to corruption in the financial year 2020-2021, according to the Auditor General. The Public Accounts Committee, led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, wants the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, SLUDS, to intervene and investigate corruption-related issues. However, the Kajiado Governor, Ole Lengu, who appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, refuted the claims, saying that the disbursement was shared equally among all wards. Mevin Getembe now reports.
You don't have any of your assets that you can even list to us and say we've got these ones, but these ones we are having a challenge with, and this one because...
The Public Accounts Committee, led by the Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, wants the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission SLUDS to intervene and investigate corruption-related issues raised by the Auditor General on bursary disbursement in Kajiado County, where the county lost millions to corruption the financial year 2020-2021. However, the governor, who appeared before that committee, refuted the claim, saying that the disbursement was shared equally among all wards.
Other educational benefits during the period under review. The management received 125 million only due to availability of funds. The bursary issuance and distribution is guided by the Kajiado County Bursary Fund Act 2015. Further, the management wished to clarify that all bursary was distributed fairly and accordingly in tranches across the financial year under review.
On issues raised by the Auditor General regarding the monies issued to contractors by the county government even before completion of the project and termination of the contract even as funds were released to complete the same, the auditor's sentiments are contrary to that of Ole Lengu, who claims the project is underway and nearly 75% complete.
The progress that we have made so far, it's very unlikely that we will get there. And therefore, the contractor having come back on site and the progress, the construction progressively going on, I can confirm that as requested or as asked by Senator Seki, that the contractor has the capacity to finish the job. And I want to go on record that this project is going to get complete. You know, this project has been going to get complete, and we are grateful that the audit team had highlighted concerns, and so we are surmounting this problem progressively.
The committee sought to know the number of working staff in Kajiado, the promotion and job status. This is after raised claims that 30% of the working staff in Kajiado got promotions illegally.
If he's still in the administration of the Honorable Governor, you recommend that certain administrative action is taken, or if not, at the very minimum, the EFCC should get to ask that officer that question you are asking yourself in the head. Let the EFCC ask that officer, what was the basis for this recommendation of 75%? On what basis was that recommendation made? And assets that were inherited from the defunct county, local governments. But for you, the register does not exist, even in an incomplete form. That is the problem.
Mavin Getembe, Lookuptv.
Chief Justice Martha Koome Monday presided over the launch of the e-filing system in all courts. The event also saw the unveiling of the data tracking dashboard and the cost-list portal. The electronic system was first launched by former Chief Justice David Maraga. In March 2003, Chief Justice Martha Koome announced plans to introduce electronic case filing in all court stations across the country, following a successful implementation in Nairobi.
The journey to digitize the court system has begun with Chief Justice Martha Koome on Friday launching the e-filing system.
With the seated,
the system will ensure that all those working in the judiciary are familiar with managing court processes through online platforms. Chief Justice Martha Koome has announced that pleadings and court documents will be assessed and processed online from July 1st.
I agree that from pleadings and documents, we need to stop printing paper, and therefore direct that the printings and documents will be accessed and processed online from the 1st of July 2024.
Speaking on Monday during the launch of e-filing, data tracking dashboard and cost list portal in all court stations countrywide, Koome said this is meant to strengthen the green practices that the judiciary is embracing. She said the nationwide rollout of the e-filing system is not only an addition to technological advancements, but also a significant stride towards achieving a paperless judiciary, aligning with its commitment to green justice.
We celebrate not only the expansion of the e-filing, but also our ongoing commitment to innovation within the Kenyan judiciary. The introduction of virtual courts and hearings has significantly improved access to justice, enabling legal practitioners and litigants to participate in proceedings from various locations and witness even to cases when they are abroad. This advancement, despite challenges with the system functionality and internet stability, are part of our broader initiative to enhance the quality of our services through technology.
Koome noted that the milestone is also a conscious effort to reduce the sector's environmental footprint. The initiative targets making the platform more user-friendly, thereby facilitating easier navigation and interaction for all users. She further announced that the judiciary is also embarking on a comprehensive reorientation program that will run over the next 3 months.
Now, with the establishment of a pilot transcription center, we are set to offer transcription services across the country, aiming to alleviate the workload on our judges and judicial officers and to expedite the hearing process.
Abdimajid Hussein, Lookuptv.
A couple of things that we got to figure this morning. The Azimio coalition in Parliament is saying a couple of members of Parliament from the Kenya Kwanza side that want to derail the implementation, or should I call it the adoption, of the bills that were supposed to implement the Nadco report. In fact, they are convinced that there's no need of going back to public participation. And this is why. That Kenyans thronged to the bomas of Kenya, made their submissions. So the team, through their secretariat, essentially looked at all those submissions the majority of Kenyans had made, then came up with the 9 bills that are supposed to be used to adopt the Nadco report. So they are convinced, as it currently is, there is no need of amending any other thing on the Nadco report. They say, implement it as is. Do not touch it in any other way. This morning, we're going to ask the question, should it be implemented the way it is? Should we go back to the Senate, back to the National House, back to public participation before we implement that particular report? As it currently is, the members of Parliament have already started discussing the Nadco report proposals on the composition of the IEBC selection panel that is supposed to give us those IEBC commissioners. And as it is, they are racing against time to have this in place. So the members of Parliament are saying, you see the same attention you're giving IEBC, give the rest of the report. We talk about that this morning, plus many other issues, including now the divisions that have occurred in this particular report, cases of the president asking MCAs then to go in and look at the alliance collision manifestos, plus many more. This morning, I already see Mr. Gidaiga and Prof already said it in the studio this morning. Once we come back, we'll say hi to this gentleman that I've not seen for the past 2 weeks, and after that, get to the back end of the business this morning. Good morning.
University of Nairobi is a distinguished institution of higher learning dedicated to nurturing your intellectual curiosity and pushing the boundaries of knowledge. From state-of-the-art laboratories to modern libraries equipped with the latest resources, we provide you with the tools you need to succeed. Choose from a wide range of programs designed to prepare you for challenges of tomorrow's world. Whether in STEM, humanities, business, or the arts, our strong industry connections and career service support will help you translate your education into meaningful career opportunities upon graduation. Join a vibrant community of scholars from around the world, fostering cultural exchange, collaboration, and lifelong friendships. Book your space now for September intakes. Log in to https://www.uonbi.ac.ke for a wide range of courses to choose from. You can also contact +254 020 491 0000 or email us at pr@ounbi.ac.ke.
Are you an SME looking for a media partner? Look no more, as Lookuptv got you covered for all your visibility and marketing needs. We at Lookuptv understand your business needs and want to work with you on your marketing journey, giving you solutions that will take you to the next level. Call us today on 0707 572 358 or send an email to sales@lookuptv.co.ke and kickstart this amazing journey. Welcome to Lookuptv, your official SME media partner.
So this is what makes sense to me as a business journalist. And we keep on saying that because we are live to the challenges and the prospects of our economy. Allow me then to introduce the country manager for Business Partners International, Mr. Michael Mudengi, who's going to tell us exactly what he is doing in this particular space.
Business Partners International, we consider ourselves a risk financial. We are not a commercial bank, but we are a financial institution that is willing to take a little bit more risk than what a commercial bank would do.
Oof, that's it. Right, welcome back to the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Kiage. We are jumping in at this particular point then. Already, Mr. Kiage, Edward is with us here, and Prof as well. Oof. Gentlemen, how are you doing? Let me start with you, Kiage.
Thank you, I'm doing great. I've missed the studio. You said it's been 2 weeks. Wow.
It's been 2 weeks.
It looks like 2 days.
Looks like 2 days, isn't it?
I guess it's because this is home. This is our home. And thank you so much for hosting me once again at Lookuptv. And I look forward to be sharing conscious, sober analysis about the political situation, economic situation, social situation in Kenya and in the world.
Pretty much.
And I'm so happy that I broke the story of Africa for Haiti here, and you gave us the opportunity to create awareness on Haiti, and you can see everybody's talking about Haiti. Some are talking negative, some are talking positive, but we have the country focused on Haiti.
Kindiki says it's going to happen whether we like it or not.
And did I tell you, we did host the Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, at the USIU for a public lecture through Africa for Haiti. So we're quite proud of what we're doing. I know there are so many questions around his eligibility concerning with the people on the ground and everything, but I'm sure there is something coming up in the woodworks. Maybe we'll see some changes. Maybe he might resign or something.
Does it?
Pressure is too much.
Pressure is too much. Yeah. We'll mention that this morning. Prof, how are you doing, man?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we sat down and had this conversation. Yeah.
Yes, we're here 2 weeks ago, and we're with him in South Africa. Went to Johannesburg.
You guys told me that you're traveling, by the way.
Yes. And for me, he had a different mission, but for me, I went to meet Thabo Mbeki.
Yes.
I also met Mwalesi Mbeki. You know, people are trying to say that, you see, Baba should lobby, but I'm trying to say that everybody should take their personal initiative. It does not have to send me. And also lobbying does not take the state to do it, because sometimes I'm actually trying to advise Raila Odinga that what you need to do, even if William Ruto promises you that he's lobbying for you, but also take personal initiative to lobby for yourself.
Because
in my culture, normally when you want to marry, your aunt has a responsibility to get you an ideal girl for wife. But even if I say that, it's also critical for you also to take time to assess, because sometimes what they are looking at is not what you want to see. So I also tell Raila Odinga that in spite of the fact that the state has done well by saying they support you, which is a good thing, I also believe that he should also take every personal responsibility to look for this seat.
Yes.
At the same time, every Kenyan of good standing, for any opportunity to find, I think it's good time to help him out, because people are questioning whether he should go or not. The question is, what does his heart want? If I'm your friend, Simba, I look for what does your heart want, and I help you around. I should not tell you what you should do or what you should not do. So Raila is too senior for us to advise him what he needs to do or what he need not to do. For us, if you say, I want to do this one, that's what we help you to do.
That's it.
Yeah.
Whew, gentlemen, we have a lot to go through today, and there's just a lot, especially that has come out of the Nadco report that's now seated at both the Senate and the National House. And those gentlemen are looking at a couple of issues. And as of last Friday, they already started looking into the proposals on the composition of IEBC selection panel. Good. Let's then start like this. Sheila, if you can, we're going to look at what the Standard has this morning, in as much as the development of this particular report. In the Nadco report proposals, they already indicated that they're going to audit the 2022 general elections. Now, there's a development on that, Prof, this morning, as we start the show. It was in it, opposition coalition has named former Busia Senator Amos Mwako, a former nominated senator and forensic expert, for the panel to audit the disputed election. Good. Prof, I want to start with you this morning.
Yeah.
There are advancements. IEBC issues already getting discussed in the National House, and you can actually see that there are some advancements on that particular area of auditing the 2022 general elections. But I'm going to start from this point. There are fears that there are some other members of parliament now, allied with the Kenya Kwanza side, who want to take these particular bills back to public participation.
Yeah.
The ODM side feels we were done and dusted. We went there for 60 days. We called for state groups, we called for lobby groups to come in and give us their recommendations of the various areas that they felt that we needed to include in this report. We looked at it, we came up with these 9 bills that are supposed to guide the implementation of the Nadco report.
Yes.
So they say, implement it as it is. There is no need of you taking us back to public participation because we already feel like we went through that process. Do you believe that the Nadco report should be implemented as is?
Wow. Simba, first of all, let's begin from where this all began.
Yes.
Linda Jamii was the first person to register. I can even give you that document. Was the first person to register their participation at the Bomas. Yes. When we gave them our views. And our views was that the intention for Nadco was extra-constitutional. The intention itself was extra-constitutional, because what was the reason for us to go for Nadco? It was not within the Constitution. Secondly, the committee that sat in Bomas was extra-constitutional. And that follows that the recommendations were extra-constitutional. Now, the only thing which is legitimate is a bill now. You get my point? So the Nadco report is extra-constitutional document, because what is it based on? Even if you tell me which part of the Constitution are you quoting on the Nadco report? But the Nadco report was there was a negotiation between it, and then it gave birth to the 9 bills. Yes. So those bills are now actually constitutional bills. So therefore, we are not starting from the Nadco report. Nadco report is, for example, if you do an ethnographic research, just to go to Kibera and check, why do people who have more money than that can make them live in Langata still live in Kibera? So if you find that as ethnographic report, it is just for your information. Now, if you want to pass a bill on why should some people continue living in Kibera when they can live in Langata, that's now is the beginning of the bill. But you cannot begin the constitutional part on the ethnographic report. That's the preliminary report. Yes. It has nothing to do with the legal report. So in Kenya, it's constitutional that every bill before being put to an act must be able to pass through public participation. And then secondly, why I also don't agree cannot implement Nadco report is because Nadco report was a view to inform the bill. But a bill itself now has to go through the report, because you can't tell me Nadco report it's conclusive, because you cannot say that Kenyans who are given a chance to give their views, but they cannot give you on the details. Remember what happened in the Housing Act? The Housing Act, we challenged by saying that there are some changes, significant changes that took place in the floor of the House when it was being debated. So when you took them to pass them and send them to law, they went through serious changes that were not part of the thing that took place on the public participation. So we're supposed to go back to public participation. That's why even Linda Jamii has an appeal in court saying that you cannot do that. So according to me, these bills are beginning their journey as a bill, which is a legal document, the initial one. It should go through all the stages of readings, then all through stages of public participation, then being executed. But why do you think that the ODM MPs are feeling that it was done and dusted? It is that if you look at the bills, which are 9 of them, which has coming from Nadco report, you have a feeling that what was key that ODM claimed that needed to go to the Nadco was cost of living. And there is no bill in the 9 bills which is cost of living. So Wanjiku would be very mad if you come back to them with 9 bills for public participation which come from Nadco reports and has nothing to do with them, because these things has nothing to do with Kenyans. It has to do with creating of office of the Prime Secretary, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Which is completely unconstitutional and it's unlawful, and there is no need, because we are trying to lower cost of living. When you add more positions in government, you are adding cost of living to Kenyans, or Kenyans won't be very happy. The other thing is about CDF, which of course is unconstitutional. You cannot just come with this bill. So I'm trying to say there will be a lot of misfiring. Then the issue, they are destroying this country. These 9 bills, especially the one that proposes the leader of opposition, is destroying the country. Because what we need to understand, and we need to educate the Kenyans, and especially the Kenya Kwanza people and ODM, that the current Constitution 2010 does not envisage opposition as a political party. Yes. Parliament is the opposition that should check government with the 3 arms of government. And now inside Parliament, there is minority that call Opio and I. If you give us leader of opposition, what will Opio and I be doing? Do you know Opio and I draws more salaries and more benefits than any other MP just because of leader of minority? So if you want to create leader of opposition, the pack that Opio and I is enjoying is the exact pack that any leader of opposition should be enjoying. So shall we be having 2 people enjoying the same pack, but who will be doing which work? And since Opio and I was given that position of minority, he's not sponsored any single bill taken to Parliament. He has not come with any initiative to show leader of minority. You are a leader.
Is it okay for him to say that he is fought for the voice of the minority in Parliament? Would that be?
No, not really, because there must be something. Let me tell you what. When you are outside government as opposition, if you like now, if you call them minority opposition, yes, there are certain things that are affecting Kenyans that should be able to affect you. Mm-hmm. And the best way to do is to come with bills to address them. But now the bill that has come through Nadco, which has come from inside of minority, this bill had nothing to do with Kenya. Tell me, will you when you go to school, will you find paying school fees is cheaper after these bills are passed? If you go to supermarket, will you fill these bills? When you go to a fuel station, will you fill these bills? When you go to hospital, will you fill these bills? Even the one for the health insurance, yes. Now hospitals are rejecting NHIF cards because they are not paying them. Now that has a serious implication. What should a leader of minority do? Should sponsor a bill to come with a way to address the issue happening at NHIF. I've said it and I continue to repeat. Maybe even Gidaga might refuse to accept. But the truth of the matter is that 75% of your premium for NHIF or health insurance scheme goes into operational cost. Only 25% goes to hospital. Mm-hmm. And on a flight that I was going to Johannesburg, I was with one officer who works in Bungoma County, and he told me very well that the government has frozen all the employment of doctors. But doctors for some time have been working in private hospitals, and that has made them feel easy. But what is happening is that NHIF is not paying the hospitals, and therefore there is no money to pay doctors in hospitals, and that's why doctors are back on strike. So you are in a hospital, your salary is being paid, but there's no medicine, there's no equipment, there's no nothing. As leader of minority, what is he doing about it, rather than waiting for Nadco report? And if at all we are going to have a leader of opposition plus leader of minority, this is duplicating things. Kenya is overrepresented and underserved. We are looking for service, not looking for representation. Why we are looking for people to represent is to look for what service do we need in your village. Yes, so if you are represented by 300 MPs, mm-hmm. no passports, isn't it? There is no healthcare. There is no education. There is no means of livelihood. There is no jobs. Then why should we be overrepresented? There is no service in the country. This is a joke.
That's it. Yes. That in the true spirit of this report, those gentlemen spoke about it. They hustled through the details. They came up with proposals that they all signed against, except for a couple of them who are from the azimio side who said they're not gonna sign on it because they didn't feel like the report essentially represented the views of their constituents in terms of the cost of living. So in the true faith of that report, there shouldn't be a side in parliament that is saying no, or let's discuss it further. That what should be happening right now is that the National House should be moving through the stages a bit faster to make sure that those 9 bills are essentially assented into law.
Yes, but where is the urgency? There is no urgency anymore.
That's where the conflict begins.
No, because what we've done is we've moved away from divisive, polarized, and self-enriching politics in Kenya.
Yes.
And it's like us, like, you know, doing the magic wand like this. I think the Kenyan political landscape has really changed. Now that we have Raila Odinga working very closely with the president. And therefore, that means that some of those things that were urgent,
yes,
will be implemented, but through various stages, whereby obviously there was so much pressure before. Even the Nadco being formed was not formed because of us being in the studio. It was formed because people had put pressure on the government to sit down and listen to the people. And the representatives of the people at that particular time was the opposition. And they're the ones who went to the street and demonstrated.
Yes.
Violently, so may it be. But the violence ended and they had a dialogue. And this was all about dialogue. So we moved away from the polarized post-election drama that we normally have in this country very quickly, 1 year before a year ended, to where we had divisive politics, you know, negative ethnicity, negative political landscape, propaganda, a lot of lies being pushed around to the Mwananchi, to a level where the Mwananchi was even actually getting confused and losing direction. Then at the same time, this politics of the past was being driven by people wanting to enrich themselves and taking advantage of the particular chaos that we have to get themselves into certain positions. However, thank God for the Nadco that came and brought the country together, because without unity of purpose, then we are moving in the wrong direction. So now what we are calling this, we're calling the new political, the new Kenya that we are living in today.
Yes.
The new Kenya where dialogue is accepted, where opposition can dialogue with government, and they can come to an agreement for the betterment of the people. So I believe this is what we are calling value politics. It's now about the value you bring on the table. Like now you can see my brother talked about Raila Amolo Odinga. A month ago, he would not have talked the way he talked.
No, that's a lie.
No. Let me conclude. I haven't finished what I think.
That's a lie.
No. You get what I mean? But now you can see the political, you know, things are cooling off.
They haven't.
You know, I'm just saying things are cooling off.
Yeah.
Because even he's even talking about Raila Odinga going to AU. You get me?
Yeah.
And advising him that he should not just focus on government support. He should focus on doing it himself and not be lured to believe that somebody will get that power for you. So it shows you that things are changing. The dynamics are changing. What we're talking about now is about delivery politics. I had him talk about, in the Nadco report, you know, there is an offer for the leader of opposition. There is an offer for the prime minister, and various other offers that are there to bring balance in the political landscape, so that no winner takes all. You know, that kind of thing whereby the winner takes everything, and then those in the opposition are left to be minority, who probably don't have their say in most of the cases. Now you can see a balance. Do you imagine Ichung'wa, of all people, standing at Capitol Hill, giving a press conference with Raila standing next to him? Don't you see that?
Calling him His Excellency.
Yes. Don't you see? Don't you see that is a transformation? In fact, I think Kenya is the best country in terms of democracy globally, because hold on, the democratic space we have in this country and the level of maturity when it's called for, Kenyans are intelligent. Because you can see even Ishongwa, he's read the signs of the time, and the signs of the time call for unity. Raila Odinga, for the first time in the history of this country, Raila Odinga has Raila going for AU has become a unifying factor for this republic. Raila Odinga has always, in the past, had a lot of opposition. Show me one individual, from opposition, from government, from civil society, who is opposing Raila Amolo Odinga's candidacy at the AU. So it's a blessing for Kenya. And clearly it shows you the wisdom and the level. You remember, I told you here one day, and they all said to me that I was just talking. I said, William Samoei Ruto is the most intelligent president in Africa.
No.
Hold on. Look at the way he's running this country. Other leaders are unable to even bring the opposition on the table. Do you understand me? Because when you become a president, you have the prerogative and the power to even talk to the opposition for national unity. You understand? William Ruto, let me tell you, he'll be a case study for history in the future of how he has been able to not reduce Raila Odinga, but show Raila Odinga that you can focus on a bigger thing and not put all your energy here.
It's a question that I want to ask you. That you might be right that it's time for delivery politics, which is okay. I'm not going to dispute that this morning, and any other person will listen to you and say, fine. But is somebody somewhere happy that the script is playing? And I will tell you what the script is, and this is what majority of the azimio members of parliament are reading. It's fine. Let them clear the report. Fine, as fast as you can. Give them 60 days. They've asked for an extension period. Give them that extension period. All right? Go give us that report. But then Githaiga, where it really matters is in the National House. So let me bring to your attention that on those proposals for the composition of the IEBC selection panel, they started discussing them 4 days ago to rush against time to make sure that we have a functional IEBC as soon as we can. That they are looking into it and quicker that. So is somebody somewhere saying, fine, let the report come to the National House. Guys, let it sit. We can take as long as we want on it. That's why majority of members of parliament are reading fall play. They're like, hold on, we thought...
Which members of parliament?
The azimio members of parliament, a section of them, that we thought this is what we're supposed to implement and quicker that. So Prof, just before I give it to Githaiga as well, is somebody somewhere playing the script, especially from the Kenya Kwanza side? Let the report sit in the National House. The ones that we want, like the IEBC, make sure you touch on them as quick as that. But the rest of them, take them to public participation. We haven't seen any other person say that IEBC a bill is going to go back to public participation.
No. You see, what's even my brother Edward has to understand here is that you can say that William Ruto is the most intelligent president in Kenya, but there's something which is true. Raila Odinga defines the political agenda of this country. That's true. Why are people discussing Nadco report now? It's because Raila Odinga defined that agenda. Why are people discussing about AU? Because his candidature defines that agenda. When Amina Mohammed was vying, it was not a national agenda. It was a Jubilee issue. Why is this that Raila Odinga it's vying and it becomes a continental issue.
Yes.
Even when I was in South Africa, I was being asked, what's happening in Raila? Is he coming to make it? What support do you want us to give him? It's not just a national agenda, it's a continental agenda. He defines it. You say that no opposition has ever brought Raila in. I mean, Uhuru brought him in, handshake, and it was called handshake government. Now this will be called Nadco government. He defines the agenda. Nadco is Raila's baby. Handshake is Raila's baby. BBI is Raila's baby. Constitution 2010 is Raila's baby. So you want to tell me that what intelligence are you talking about? Intelligence in terms of speaking on TV is different from when Raila just goes to the sea and something happens. If Raila withdraws from AU, again he'll define the agenda, which some people are saying he might. So what I'm trying to say is that leave alone intelligence. We are concerned about what's happening. And what is playing out in Parliament is that, remember, and people had theories about BBI.
Yes.
There will also be similar theories in Nadco. People were very clear that Uhuru wanted BBI to fail. People said that. Maybe he was a part of it. That Uhuru was playing Raila with BBI. So in Nadco, someone is being played. Who is being played, we do not know. According to me, Raila got what he wanted. Remember, after the election, when RUTO was declared the president,
yes,
it looked like Raila had withered. It looked like Raila's political future was gone, isn't it? He has brought himself with Nadco. And now he's the subject, he's the topmost. In fact, people talk about Raila for 1 year and AU. It is the agenda, Nadco, AU, Nadco, AU, for until next election. And people start looking at how Nadco and AU define the outcome of 2027 election. No one will ever explain the election for 2027 without referring to how AU and Nadco defined it. Who defined those things? Raila Odinga. Let's give it to him. I'm sorry about that. So what I'm trying to say, actually I don't have to be sorry. But I'm sorry just because people may feel that I'm being stubborn. But the point I'm trying to draw here is that even this Nadco,
yes,
it will be a subject of playing games. Remember that BBI had an opponent, isn't it?
Yes.
We have not yet seen the opponent of Nadco. Before Nadco gets an opponent, it means nothing. I'm sorry to tell you again. You can go to handshake, had an opponent in the name of William Ruto. BBI had an opponent in the name of William Ruto. The accord was more accepted and gave birth to 2020 constitution.
Yes.
So the fact that Nadco might not get opponent, it means actually it can sail through. So we are still waiting. Do you know one single opponent of Nadco? Just like he said, there is no single opponent for AU job. But I can tell you there is an opponent. We at Linda Jamii, we believe that the intention of the Nadco was extra-constitutional. The committee that sat about it in Bomas that wasted taxpayers' money was extra-constitutional, and therefore the Nadco report was extra-constitutional. But the only thing that now becomes constitutional is these bills that we need to focus on. And if someone says they want to implement Nadco report as is without public participation, we'll go to court as Linda Jamii, because that's the first time we'll see the opponent.
Yes.
There is nothing that thrives without an opponent. Even life thrives because there's death. You understand me? Even religion thrives because there's even God thrives because there's the devil. If in heaven there must be devil so that heaven can look relevant, so then you will go to hell.
Does that?
If there's no hell, what was the need of heaven? So Nadco has to have an opponent to make it even more interesting. And what's happening? Politicians are very clever.
What is the need of an opponent right now?
We need an opponent. Nadco can make or break somebody.
Yes.
Do you know what made William Ruto you? When William Ruto went to oppose the 2010 constitution, he was making himself popular. Not that he didn't believe in it. It was a political strategy to make himself become powerful. You understand me? It had nothing to do with love for Kenya. So you opposed it. Murkomen was there. Murkomen was his best spokesperson opposing the 2010 constitution. Am I wrong?
Yes.
And the people who went to television, went to rallies opposing the 2010 constitution, succeeded equal to those who opposed or proposed it.
Somebody's going to argue that we did have the opposers before the Nadco report. The same way that if you look at the 2010 Kenyan Constitution, BBA and all that, that there were opposers until there was an outcome. Now we do have the outcome, which is
no,
the Nadco
Nadco is
report.
not an outcome. Because Nadco cannot has no ramification for anything in Kenya so far. I've told you it's just like notes that you took when you are just walking around. It still has nothing like it cannot compel any arm or government to do anything.
What is the consensus in Nadco? Is that out of these 9 bills that we've come up with, we sort of agree that these are the proposals that we're going to push into these bills.
The bills have some substance, but not Nadco report.
Yes.
Yeah, Nadco report is just, I would call it a brainstorming document.
Pretty much.
But the substantive documents are these. And I want just wait.
Yes.
Why I'm trying to tell you that it's key. Some politician will see a need to make their political career by opposing the Nadco report and start driving up support, going for rallies. Nadco report is bad for us, not helping us. Wananchi ulichezwa, mulichezwa. It's always a political vehicle people use. So I'm trying to think, if anybody wants to make a political career, they should jump and oppose Nadco report for political gain, nothing to do with anything. But for us, Linda Jamii, we'll only oppose it in case they want to implement it as is without passing through the bills.
Pretty much. Gadega, I want to jump to you as well, because Prof, I want you to get ready then, because there's a special element here of the audit of the 2022 general election.
Yes.
Opens a spanner into a conversation as to why. I'll be coming back to you on that. Edward, here's a question. That the script is here. Number one, we did have opposers leading to the Bombers of Kenya meeting that gave us the Nadco report. But then Prof is of the idea that, well, it's useless as it is. That within the bills now, that's when you will have both guys who are supporting it and opposing it.
You know,
is that what it is?
No. He's mistaken. It's not useless. You see, he's contradicting himself. Prof, why are you contradicting yourself? You know, one moment he's praising and saying Nadco report because of Raila, right?
Yes.
Where he's justifying Nadco report and saying it's good. And then at the other point, he's saying it should be swept out. It should be, wait, I just called it, he just called it he just called a talk, recommendation or so. I don't know what word he used. No, I didn't, I'm just trying to say it's another word I'm using, trying to figure out what you meant. But what I'm saying is, he's right in what he's saying is right. You know, this professor, he has his say. However, on this matter, first of all, let's start by the issue about Raila Odinga looking dejected. Indeed, he had lost the election, right? After a heated election. To me, the person who made Raila Odinga who he is now is Gaucho. This young guy called Gaucho. And that young man should be respected a lot in Raila Odinga's camp.
What did he do?
Because Gaucho is the one who brought Raila to Jivanji. When you remember, Raila had traveled to South Africa, and he's the one who mobilized Raila and told him, boss, don't lose hope, let's keep fighting. And that opened a window for Raila Odinga to engage with the Mwananchi. And because Bunge la Wananchi was something that is amorphous but organized on the ground, he got an audience. That's Raila Odinga. And that's where Raila Odinga now started bringing up the issue. He was given a list of life. I'm not saying Gaucho has the capacity to really bring back Raila into the political framework.
Yes.
But Gaucho's strategic move of inviting Raila Odinga to the Bunge la Wananchi was very strategic in now even where we are today.
Yes.
In where Raila is positioned today. Because at that time Raila was rained on, left alone, looking dejected, not believing that his co-president Uhuru Kenyatta, despite having the deep state, despite having all the systems, they lost an election. However, another thing I would like to challenge about what he said, it's extra constitutional. That is not true. Look at the people who have formed that Nadco committee. You're talking about senior politicians who have even been to the level of vice president, who have been members of parliament,
yes,
who are senior counsel
yes,
in this country. If you're talking those people are not leaders and that what they are doing is extrajudicial, then I don't understand, extra constitutional, then I don't understand what his point is. Because even today, the report highlights the views of the people, isn't it? Because the people took their views. The report highlights what the people would like to see being implemented. The report gives a framework of implementation that now brings us to where we are today,
yes,
in Parliament, where this matter is going to be placed in the House of Parliament,
yes,
through the different bills, the 9 bills that you talked about. So this thing cannot be constitutional. It is rightly constitutional because it is Kenyans who agreed, it is Kenyans who decided that we should have a dialogue rather than fight in the streets, isn't it? It is Kenyans who decided and agreed. Then the other thing I would also like to try and point out that those azimio weshimiwas who are trying to point this or the other
delay from the
yes,
Kenya Kwanza side. Yes.
Why are they not talking about the select committee for IEBC? I think that was a hot potato last week.
Yeah.
That has been forgotten.
But they're already discussing.
Yes,
on
and that has
yes,
been forgotten because things have cooled down. You see, like I said earlier before,
yes,
divisive politics, polarization, division brings negativity. But now because those things have cooled off, they will be implemented as per the timetable that is provided for.
Do you want
the majority leader,
yes,
let
yes,
me tell you,
yes,
the majority leader, in the presence of his co-chair, presented the Nadco report to Raila Amolo Odinga. And they also presented it to His Excellency the President. Now, the next thing the majority leader will do is begin the process. You remember even when we were discussing about Wetangula, what should Wetangula first deal with? Isn't this where we are headed? This is where we are headed. But one thing that has finished anxiety and mistrust,
yes,
the mistrust that was there, is this relation
yes,
that the Nadco report created,
yes,
yeah, the environment that it created, which is trying to diminish, and the AU aspect.
Pretty much. But here's the thing, Prof. You know, paint a picture. We went back to the National House and the Senate, and then we said that everything that the Nadco report was going to present is going to be entrenched within law. So whatever was happening at the Bomas Kenya, we did pass at the Senate and the National House that we weren't going to entrench that into law. That's why they came up with the bills from that particular report. They sat down, they gave us law, which was the 9 bills that should go back to the National House for debate and quick ascension into law. Now, here's the thing. Even as Prof this question, also have to pay tribute to this. That the president is on record saying, I'll talk to them, I'll talk to my side in the National House, they're going to make sure they pass this thing as quick as they can.
Yes.
That
Yes.
one, they've got no problem with it. Yeah. That was an agreement.
Yes.
Number 2 now, it therefore means that if this was bills that were born out of this report, that the House should speak in one voice now. That these 9 bills are going to be overwhelmingly voted by all of them. That is the very first time that we're going to see a National House that is cognizant of the fact that these bills are out of a report where both sides give proposals.
Yeah.
That's where the azimio side is saying, well, if we are supposed to speak in the same voice, why is it not that quick as we expected? Why are you guys again dilly-dallying around these issues? We should have already implemented them, and as fast as that, Prof, should they speak in the same voice?
I've told you, and it forced me to go and say that we don't say we said, because the suggestions in that Nadco report were not Kenyan suggestions.
Whose suggestions were they, Prof?
Those ones were suggestions of this politician. I can't even tell you, my brother. Those 9 bills
your views
had been drafted. No, we went and said that we are against the Nadco.
Yeah, but you still presented your views.
Listen, we call for multi-partisan. I think you can quote me here. Remember,
yes,
I said
actually said that.
We said multi-partisan, not bipartisan. Bipartisan is between 2 political parties, which is UDA and Azimio. You get my point? Co-chairs, Kalonzo and Ichung'wah,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes.
That is not Kenyan views. Those are for parliament.
What happens to those sanctions where the committee called on lobby groups and Kenyans to come in and give them?
No, that one was, that's already the game had been defined. You see, like what happens in the Finance Act.
Yes.
There are some proposal suggestions that Kenyans gave and they were dismissed. In fact, we are in court about it. That what was the criteria to adopt some things and to be able to throw away some? Tell me. People presented there, like even Nyakango was presenting about corruption, isn't it? Was corruption in this bill? Is there any bill to cure corruption? So what was the criteria to reject her proposal and adopt this one? People adopted increment of governors on, say, senator seats and whatever it is, isn't it? Some of them were not accepted. I saw even some people presented the LGBTQ team, isn't it? The Catholic Church presented a proposal on how to bring better governance, isn't it? And to improve democracy. People even suggested to look for how to address the issues of inequality, unemployment. Those ones, there's no inequality bill in here. There's no employment bill here. Why is the cabinet not considering the youth and people with disability until now? And there's no bill to address that. You get me? Now the president, instead of looking at how to talk about the issue of women empowerment in parliament, so that we can have at least one third of the gender of women there, he's now talking about running mate. What I'm trying to say is that this is a script which was organized.
Yes.
Nadco was just something that was taken there as a smoke screen. These bills were going to come anyway, because the president did not want Raila Odinga to go to the street, isn't it? Why is it now important for him to put Prime Minister seat there for Mudavadi, isn't it? CDF there for his members of parliament. CDF has been a way that he wanted even before. In fact, he had proposed how CDF can be entrenched in the constitution directly through parliament without any public participation, without any referendum. He had proposed how to work on the gender through parliament. He wrote a circular to Moses, a memorandum to Moses Wetangula. He wrote again all the things he wrote to Moses Wetangula. They are now part of Nadco. How, my brother? We are not fools in this country. In fact, I'm asking Kenyans, the best way to be vigilant is now. And that's what I want to tell my brother Githaiga. He has said that because Raila Odinga is going to AU, the political environment has cooled down. It is more heated. There's more heat. In fact, by Raila Odinga going to AU, we have to be vigilant. The cost of living is still hot, isn't it? The debt issue is an issue here. Corruption is still bothering people. Unemployment is still in people's neck.
Yes.
Healthcare, education system is collapsing. Doctors are not being employed. They're on seat every day. The way they have mismanaged the education sector in Kenya is amazing. Our problems have not gone to AU. It's only Raila who has gone to AU. Our problems are still here. And that's why we should be vigilant with why did we go to the street. If you ask people why Raila went to the street, you can tell now, isn't it? But we cannot tell why Wanjiku went to the street. So I would still submit that that report was not people's report. If it was people's report, they were supposed to pick either, one I said, members of parliament, which was Wandai, Ichung'wah and Kalonzo, isn't it? They are supposed to bring civil society. Not co-chairing, whereby, you can come to a table where even the menu has been decided, and maybe you're the menu. So we were coming there when Ichung'wah and Kalonzo had even terms of reference agreed between the two parties, UDA and ODM, isn't it? What say do you have? Now civil society is coming to present to these people on their terms. It cannot happen. We as people, the sovereign power of this country belongs to the people. And there's no way we come to the table when we are the meal. We are the menu. No, we are supposed to come and say one chair, one partner was supposed to come from civil society, yes, the business community, the private sector, the religious groups, isn't it? Parliament, isn't it? Yes. And then Raila and RUTO were supposed to speak theirs. In that way, they're supposed to sit together and elect a chair, isn't it? Here you come when chair has been elected for you, isn't it? What say do you have? Then you make presentation, they just listen there. In fact, as we were presenting Bomas, Kalonzo was running to this land which was happening in the land for...
In Athi River, isn't it?
Athi River, yes. Because he's among the people who have benefited from that land. Instead of sitting there to co-chair, the day he was supposed to be there, he ran there because his name is in the list, yes, of the people who have stolen land in that place. So what I'm trying to say here, let us not cheat ourselves. According to me, that Nadco report is not the Kenyan flag. The Kenyan flag was dropped before that report. That's why cost of living, which is bothering Kenyans, is not there. Even the people presented, their views were not taken. Yes. These guys knew what they wanted. It's like we are speaking to a concluded mind. When you speak, like my report, I sent my memorandum, isn't it? I never got a reply. If I got a reply, tell me who replied to me. What was the basis of adopting or rejecting reports? I took a memorandum, I have it, and still now is in my office, isn't it? Why did I even get a reply about it? You can tell people that you can ask people for the memorandum. They write for your memorandum. Yes. Remember, my brother Simba, I don't live in Bomas, isn't it? So I must sit down and draft a memorandum with a team of lawyers. It cost me 250,000 shillings, isn't it? I drive my car, I leave my time, I go to Bomas, deliver it, they stamp it and give me back and give me more report. Is it fair? So we are talking about a citizenry, we're talking about a political class, yes, that does not listen to its citizens. Yes. And that's why I'm going to my point. Yes. That's why, as Fred Ogola, I'm championing a team of professionals and tell them, yes, politicians have used this against you by telling you politics is bad, you should not come. Yet they rule you with the politics. So I'm telling the private sector, the middle class, I'm talking about professionals. We are going to set up a political friendly party for professionals where their professional views will be accepted, where they can be listened to. They'll talk to leaders they can relate with. Someone who has never run a business but says they are rich through business, those are liars, they're scams. So we want to have professionals who will be engaged professionals. Actually, we are soon calling a press conference. I already have 100 professionals who have signed up that we have to give a professional, we are going to give a press statement and said, we're a team of professionals. We want to give Kenyans an alternative. Yes. So that you can have someone to engage with. Because these guys don't. Cost of living went up. Businesses were destroyed for private sector. It was not in the report. How can we avoid this ever happen again? That should have been part of the Nadco report. Pretty much. It's not there.
Yes. All right. Githaiga, we're moving close to now starting to look at the issues that have again emanated from this Nadco report, where Amos Wako, a former nominated senator, is essentially been appointed by the Azimio side to be part of the panel that is going to audit the 2022 general elections. We're going to talk about that before, after we come from this break. I want you to weigh in on this particular issue. I mean, how special is this report? I mean, these 9 bills have been drafted by those guys who sat at the Bomas of Kenya that are going to be the guiding principle on how we're going to adopt the Nadco report. Should they speak with the same voice? And so, if they should speak with the same voice, that's a scenario that I want you to look at here. Githaiga, if we do agree that indeed the president has spoken to his side, and he said that, I'm going to speak to my side, they're going to make sure that once this report essentially goes back to the National House, it's going to be adopted and quicker that. Then why do we have these complaints, Githaiga? That's what you're not paying tribute to this morning. You see, in a scenario where we've agreed, then why is somebody else complaining?
You see, complaining will always be there. You understand? You'll never have 100% support of everybody. And that's the beauty of democracy. You know, majority have their way, minority have their say. And that's why I said we are lucky to have a president like William RUTO, he's a very accommodative. By the way, trust me, if this is his first term, compare it with Uhuru's first term, the kind of fracas we were having, political instability, lack of sobriety during Uhuru's first term, and where we are today. You see, RUTO has brought this nation to be discussing about issues, real issues. Even you can see very well articulated by Professor here, the issues he has brought up. However, here also we have to be thinking, we shouldn't be looking at the near lens. We should be looking at where it's heading to. Obviously, it might go two ways. And in the next 45 days, we will know whether we're going to have a referendum. You know, there are timelines to all these things. Whether we're going to take this as much as we debate it, like, oh, this should not happen, this should happen. We are not certain whether it will be a parliamentary process or it will be a referendum. We still have to cross that bridge. And that's why I'm saying, thank God we have the leadership we have today, whereby yesterday the president of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, held a PG with MCAs. And if you listened carefully to that leader, indeed a really visionary leader, rallying his people. You know, UD has a majority of MCAs countrywide, right? Or Kenya Kwanza. And being able to bring all those people and tell them, look, none of you was elected by mistake. None of you was just lucky to be elected. Because you have been elected by the will of God, can we now put our heads together so that we can build a party that is known to stand for this, from the grassroots to the top? And this is where now we are going to, even when you see this political standoff. This Nadco report, retaliating again, I'm going to say it here, it came by because of the political standoff. Today in Haiti and many other countries, especially in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, they are having a lot of turmoil. Sudan, just here, Southern Sudan, the youngest country in Africa, has not seen peace as we are supposed to see it. Because of what? Political standoff. And that's why I'm saying the new professor of politics is William Samoei Ruto. Therefore, as we discuss these amendments, we're looking at Constitutional Amendment 2023, which will bring good things. And I would like to, maybe Professor might have forgotten, there are going to be funds that will touch on the lives of people. There are going to be offices that will cover gaps that are there.
Pretty much.
There are going to be reforms. So for example, like if it's the Prime Minister in office of the opposition leader, it will even have 2 deputies. The reason why there is political disputes in many countries is the distribution of also the leadership. So once you have the opposition out there and you put them out there without funding, without support, that brings a lot of polarization and negative politics. We also have NAGAF. That's a national governmental affirmative action fund. We have NCGDF, which is now anchored in the law.
On the county development.
Then we also have Senate Oversight Fund. Look, and I will just give me a minute. Senate Oversight Fund is needed because over, was it 3 trillion that the counties have received? Since devolution. Trillions of shillings. But how are we holding, how are they using that money? So when Professor says here to Mwananchi that this report is null and void, I think he's wrong. The other thing, there are also other several amendments, and we are coming to that discussion after the break of Amos Wako and why it is important to have that audit. The IEBC amendments to 2023. Which changes which propose changes to the select panel which remember it had polarized. Raila had said if you go ahead and appoint officers to now, or people start giving their CVs, or you do those interviews, we will not accept. But however, now you can see that clause here, and there will be changes to the selection panel.
Does it? And guess what? And
then also the other matter is the delimitation of electoral boundaries. So, and remember, we've had that discussion here. Remember, there was a deadline. 2024
March.
So when this brother talks about this thing being flavious or having no weight, I think he's wrong, and he's very wrong. The other thing before, please, brother. Let me just teach him kidogo. He also says here live on TV that the Nadco report does not talk about corruption. I am sorry, my friend, we work with institutions. There is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Amendment Bill 2023, which is part,
that's not corruption.
Which is, brother, which is part of the 9 bills that have come from the Nadco report. And you see, you cannot fight corruption through a press statement or even by you saying corruption. You have to fight it with the institution that the Constitution provides, not unless he wants us to go the extra constitutional way. So therefore, everything Professor has said here, I have clearly shown Kenyans that is just propaganda Professor has today, trying to kill this Nadco report and trying to ensure that he probably wants to be the opposition leader, but maybe he needs to build his party bigger. Then also to conclude, there's a statutory instruments amendment bill, very important. There is a political practice bill. There is a national government coordination. And you see, some of these things about national coordination is what is the interest of the people. When we talk about cost of living, when we talk about many other things that the national government needs to look at, is through the national government coordination that it happens. So therefore, Professor Naomba apologize kwa Kenya nikiongea Kiswahili kwa sababu umedanganya wa Kenya leo, umesema Nadco report hakuna kitu, na hiyo maneno yote nimeongea hapa kwa Kiswahili leo, acha niongee kwa Kiswahili. Habari ndio hiyo bana.
Unajua, acha basi tuende mapumziko kidogo. Tutakaporudi Profesa kama atataka kuomba msamaha, ataomba msamaha wakati ambapo tutakuwa tumerudi. Haya basi, naendelea kutazama kipindi cha asubuhi ambacho ni Morning Drift hapa katika Lookuptv. Once we come back, Prof, what we're going to look at is, guess what? There's an audit of the 2022 general elections. But then, Gadaiga, to what end is that audit? Why are we doing an audit? And remember, it was very contagious, Gadaiga. It was very contagious. They did not want it. They said, yes, the rest of them. But guess what? We have a government that is constitutionally in place. So you go back and start doing audit. The question is, to what extent? Once we come back, plus other issues as well. Guess who's speaking against how the government is fighting illicit brew in the country? Moses Kuria is saying, hey, bana, maskuma sana. Once we come back.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed the life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Tere, mambo ni mawili, kufikisha, kumwaga na kurudi. Kulala ni mwaka mpya.
Muka we mse. Nini mbaya? Wewe kwani wani vile dereva anaendesha gari vibaya, lazima tususe. Anaendesha gari na kwa simu the whole time hata angalia barabara. Wewe dereva wewe, mwaka iliyopita peke yake watu zaidi ya
msamaha atampeleka vizuri.
Si wameomba msamaha. Sasa twende tusafiri kwa mwendo wa aste.
Dere Smart hufikisha abiria salama. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na NTSA kwa ushirikiano na European Union.
Are you an SME looking for a media partner? Look no more, as Lookuptv got you covered for all your visibility and marketing needs. We at Lookuptv understand your business needs and want to work with you on your marketing journey, giving you solutions that will take you to the next level. Call us today on 0707 572 358 or send an email to sales@lookuptv.co.ke and kickstart this amazing journey. Welcome to Lookuptv, your official SME media partner.
Tuko hapa Kaptara, tunataka kusema asante sana RUTO Foundation kwa mambo mazuri ambayo wameweza kutufanyia leo. Wakaaji wa hapa Kaptara, wakaaji wa hapa Salawa, wakaaji wa hapa Mujukuo, mpaka wakaaji wote ambao wanatoka hapa Baringo County.
Naambia RUTO Foundation asante kwa kazi nzuri wanayofanya. Mungu awabariki.
Every time you play Lotto, 25% goes to the RUTO Foundation, which supports our fellow Kenyans through various causes. Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
All right. Now here's what we're going to start this one from then. Now, if you can, Dennis, take us back to the Standard this morning. There's a story that we have to read here on page 7, and I'm going to just give you the kicker. Is that Azimio picks team to audit the 2022 elections. Opposition coalition names former Busia Senator Amos Mwako, a former nominated senator, and a forensic expert for the panel to audit the disputed election. Story has been covered on page 7. That was a big issue in the Nadco report. Raila Amolo Odinga and the Azimio coalition said our elections were stolen. We are sure they were stolen, and we're going to prove that they were stolen. In those negotiations, they now do have a team that they put in place. But here's the question. Here's the question, Prof. To what end? Because we do know that President Dr. William Ruto is in office constitutionally.
Yes.
We went to the courts threw out the case from the opposition. We went to the streets and back to the constitution.
Yeah.
To what end? To what end, Prof? Why are we doing this?
Yeah. So, Simba, we have been in Kenya for a long time. The person who came up with the narrative about commissions is not Kenyatta. It is Moi. Anytime there was an issue, he formed a commission of inquiry.
Yes.
When that commission of inquiry gives a report which was good, then he formed a commission of inquiry to inquire on that commission.
Yes.
And they were playing two roles. One, managing expectation of Kenyan that something is being done. You know, a good feeling factor that something is being done. So just making people, we are doing something. People feel good about it.
Yes, yes.
The second thing it was doing very well, it was about getting people money. For example, Azimio has so many orphans.
Yes.
It has so many people who need to earn some allowances. Just like Nadco report, people are sitting in bombers earning allowances, isn't it? The same way there'll be people sitting auditing an election. And I can tell you, as a strategist, I don't believe on postmortem. It doesn't mean I disregard history, but I don't believe in postmortem. For example, when a family member dies, normally people rush to know what killed them. Once they have been done, nothing happens. And maybe let me mention very painful one here. For Raila Amolo Odinga, Fidel's postmortem was done. It was given to the family, being told, now, if you want to make it public, do it if you want. Did they make it public? They didn't make it public. They're quiet, isn't it? I've also lost a family member. Postmortems were done, reports were given. Yes. My brothers insisted we do a postmortem on my mother. I said there was no need because he knew she had a history of blood pressure. They did the report was like she had a blood pressure. We wasted a lot of time and money. And that information could not help save her life. So I don't believe in postmortem very much. But of course, there are reasons why you need to do it whenever there must be why you want to do it. Yes. So the question is, why do people want to do this postmortem on elections? According to me, this postmortem could have been done immediately after the election, because now Ichungwa has gone to Capitol Hill and called Raila Odinga His Excellency. Raila Odinga has called Ruto the President of Kenya. Raila Odinga is being worshipped in Homa Bay by Gladys Wanga and the crooks that are there, isn't it? While Ruto has not actually changed anything. He's not changed anything. He has not implemented anything that has been promised by Kenya Kwanza when they came to office. He's not implemented anything that is good for Kenyans. His policies are still anti-Kenyans. Economy is being governed by IMF and World Bank. Yet for us, we are still saying now we want to audit the election. Election audit is simply to create allowances for people sitting in those committees. Ruto will propose some of his people need to earn allowances. Raila will propose fine. That's why you saw there was a fight. Remember, there's a time when Opiyo Wandayi was supposed to be the one co-chairing, then it was changed to Kalonzo Musyoka, yes. Which means Kalonzo said, why are we out, isn't it? So this one also, I think Kalonzo will also want to nominate somebody. So all the political parties in Azimio want to nominate 1-2 people to sit in that thing. Kenya Kwanza Alliance also, among all the members, will also nominate 1-2-3 people to sit there. Kenyans are watching on television. Their time being consumed as they watch the nonsense of auditing an election, which has no implications. And I can tell you,
are you convinced that there's not going to be any implication?
Because Supreme Court, yes. Where do you take this report? Does this report, Supreme Court make a decision on who won the election? Decision had been made by Supreme Court, isn't it? Yes. Now, when you bring this report, where do you take this report?
That's something that they called popular legitimacy.
Yes, but of course, don't worry if the report will not come that Ruto did not win the election. Because Azimio knows why elections were not won, isn't it? They knew where the elections were stolen. And there's no need of wasting a national airtime, judicial time, constitutional time on going through that audit. I know there's the issue of opening the server. Is this opening the server, and what's the implication? I'm asking you, once you get the report that Ruto stole the election, whom do you take this report to?
They say the people.
Which people?
The people of Kenya.
People of Kenya know the elections were stolen. Why should you tell them? Why do you continue reminding Kenyans what they should move away from? According to me, Kenyans' problem is cost of living. Address that issue. Going to school, yes. Debt, corruption, address them. You don't have to go again, sit there, tell us that elections were stolen. It's reminding us, we know. Yes. In fact, Azimio presented their evidence to Supreme Court. They'll just speak, again, those guys who sit in Bomas will cheat you around, then they just take that document Azimio sent and again publish them in the newspaper. Do you know why I was actually disappointed with the Nadco report? When we went to Nadco, they said they wanted to do an audit on the election, IBC, isn't it? They wanted the issue of cost of living.
Yes.
Then they wanted the issue of political parties' interferences. Then they wanted to bring in the Prime Minister, leader of opposition, isn't it? What did NADCO report say? NADCO report simply said, we recommend, isn't it? The same nonsense which are in the terms of reference. Did they work? You tell me anything new that they spent 1.5 months discussing Bomas that we didn't know. So the same thing will be, again you'll be told, elections did not have agents. Wait and see, it will be there. Agents. Azimio did not have agents in the whole of this area, isn't it?
Yes.
2, they'll say there was bribery, isn't it? Who was bribed? A Kenyan, bribed a Kenyan, isn't it? So we know there is bribery that took place. They now talk about the issue of threats being thrown at Chebukati, left, right, and center. We'll hear those things. That's the same thing we know. And according to me, if they just want to do the audit for the sake of improving the electoral reforms, then I get it. But if they want to do the report to prove who won the election or not, it's completely useless. So according to me, it's completely useless. And let me just spend some time to answer my brother Gidaga, because there's something he said which is very important for me to say. Gidaga said that the Kenya Kwanza people and the Nadco report is working on how to reform Integrity Center, which is the Anti-Corruption Commission, isn't it?
Yes.
Let me tell you, my brother. Commissions after commissions, institutional bodies, they are useless, they are wasting taxpayers' money. Like, if you look at the amount of money being paid to Anti-Corruption, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission since it was brought into office, we have never recovered any meaningful money. In fact, the amount of money they are paid is more than the amount of money they have ever recovered. Corruption ends when people in Kenya hate it, genuinely. In fact, if I was to be head of state, when I will be head of state, let me say when, because I will be, God willing, I will just call ministers in government and tell them, Minister of Peace, and tell them, excuse me, I'm the president now. I live in State House. Yes. I do not need you to make for me any money. My transport is taken care of. I earn 2 million shillings. Don't make for me any money. If you are for making money, no, you are making that money for yourself, corruption will end, isn't it? But if you have a president who has given KPI to each and every officer of how much money to bring to him, corruption cannot end, even if you put a commission. In fact, the people that are going to appoint in those commissions will also be told the target money they have to bring to him. Every policeman on the street, policemen are not corrupt. Policemen are given target by the traffic officers, their bosses who tell them, you need to give me X amount of money to give to so and so, because these guys are recruited through corruption. Some of them pay money to be recruited. So then if you pay money to be recruited, you also have to earn money to pay back where you got that money. And then you have bosses who have targets, for example, to be given traffic commandant for Nairobi. My brother, you have to pay that money. Even go back even to the IBC. I can tell you without a single doubt, when the select panel was going to Naivasha, people spent money to be in the select committee. I have evidence. I can go to court and present that evidence. Now, after they are paid money to be in the select committee for IBC, do you know what happens? If you apply as a commissioner, you have to give them money so that you can be in the commission, isn't it? Now, after you're in the commission, for anybody to be elected, they have to pay you. So everybody is paying down the line. It starts from top to down. Yes. Corruption will end in Kenya when we have a president who do not like corruption. I will call all arms of government and tell them from today, let's do our work decently. If you're a member of parliament, work with your salary. In fact, why do Kenyans continue begging money from politicians? Because they know they are stealing. Everyone is stealing, and that's why we are coming the new narrative by saying we want professionals to run this country. We paint a picture of Singapore, South Korea. Who is running Singapore? Singapore has elected the most qualified economist to run the government. But here we select the most qualified thief or the most qualified politician to run a government. There will be politicians and they steal. So according to me, corruption will not end with this Nadco report. Mark my word, Nadco report will come and go. Corruption will even thrive much better. Corruption is increasing. In fact, Nadco report proposed the changes I saw in the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission will increase corruption, not reduce it. Corruption will end when, if these guys are corrupt in their political parties, if you want any ticket for anything, that's why professionals cannot vie for any seat, MCA, whatever, because they have to bribe. But we want to have a political party whereby you will be selected based on your qualification.
Pretty much.
Based on how much people like you. Yes. Not based on how much you give a party leader money. All these politicians, tickets are for sale. So all these MP buy these tickets with money by bribing their party leaders. Now, when they come in now, they have to collect this money again from Kenyans through sitting in committees and the rest. They have increased their salaries and increased everything. So I'm telling you, corruption will end. When the person sitting at the top says, for now, me, I don't want to collect money for me, then we'll cascade non-corruption downwards. But if not, corruption comes with force of gravity from top down. That's why they hate bottom up. They hate top down, they like bottom up. Corruption comes from top down with force of gravity.
Pretty much. Kibaiga, just indulge me this morning. But I'm going to ask you this, and if you can give me one answer if you want.
You know, when you tell me indulge me, I know I'm going for battle.
No, Kibaiga.
Let me sit upright.
Here's a question that I want to ask. Just let's build up to the last question that I want to ask you this morning. Do you support the audit of the 2022 general elections according to the proposals in the Nadco report? Why do you support it?
I support it 100%, 100%.
Why?
One, look, the reason why Kenya has not hit the middle income in this country is because of election. When we go back from say post Kenyatta, or even time of Kenyatta, post independence, like once we got independence, elections have always polarized this nation.
Except for 2002.
Say for 2002. So you see, and always it has been the outcome, right? And even after the outcome and there's been a court case, there has never been closure and conclusion to show, one, accountability. Every electoral system has to be accountable. Whether it's before the election, it has to show its capacity of having an accountable result, tallying and everything. Number two, security of that system, whereby it is very secure, ensuring that it cannot be hacked and results cannot be changed. So taking those two aspects, and then lastly is the transparency. How things were done, who was responsible for what, who is the one who, let's say for example, a contentious issue such as the one azimio was bringing about with all those boxes they were going to court with. They were given an opportunity to randomly in court select, how many were there? Some number,
a couple of
polling stations randomly, so that they would go and do the audit. Now that was a physical audit of the votes. That was also an audit. And none of those showed the discrepancies. And that is why the story of Supreme Court saying hot air came from.
In the event that this audit reveals something different, what then?
Look, brother, we already passed the election.
You see? What's that? That's
listen
that
to
what
me.
they're saying then?
Yes. Look, we're mature people. We're mature people. We're mature beings. Let's not look at it in the case that
in the event.
Look, William Samoei Ruto is not the one who conducted his election.
That's it.
So once the election was announced and William Ruto was made the president, you cannot reverse that. Because we've transversed the entire appeal process to the Supreme Court, and the story is dusted.
So why support the audit then?
No, why are you supporting?
Prof is not supporting it.
I have just pointed out. Me, I'm supporting it because we as a country should never again go to violence because of an election. Let us see, for ourselves. Let us not hear propaganda and guesswork or hearsay. Let us see where was the problem, if there was any. Sindio?
Is that why you're supporting it?
Yes. That let us see, so that listen.
Regardless of the outcome.
It also now coming back to the issue of Nadco report.
Yes.
It's part of those amendments and the reforms that Nadco is bringing on board.
Does that
exactly?
That you're
so that now next time, look.
Look.
So we're going through right now. We have deadlines.
Yes.
Delimitation of boundaries.
Yes.
2024, and also remember the IEBC has to be in place very fast.
Yes.
However, once we find out what were those things that brought issues within the electoral system, then we'll have a solution. For the next election, right, we will put what is supposed to be
it's
there.
It's purely on the basis, number one, regardless of the outcome.
Regardless of the outcome.
That is already done and dusted.
That is already done and dusted.
So let's
the outcome is,
yes,
you know, it's the IEBC officials who have the power to run those elections. It's not the president. We want to ensure that those powers they have are independent and that nobody can mess with the IEBC. So that next time, look at this IEBC that we had, though divided in the middle, the commission. Can you imagine how it was on the ground?
Are you going to be
confident? No, can you imagine how it was on the ground? It must have been messed up completely.
Does that?
So we support the Amos Wako, and I want to refute what my friend is saying.
Yes.
Brother, even you tomorrow you will be given a job somewhere. When another Kenya gets a job, don't complain about the job he has gotten and it's a waste of time. No, this is a professor. He is a professor who has trained people who are successful in this country. Coming from him, it shouldn't be coming that way.
No.
Are you worried about popular legitimacy? Should this report indicate something? Should this audit indicate something different?
Let me tell you, the election already was close. Do you hear me? The gap was only 200,000. Hold on, wait.
The ramifications,
and that's why you see,
and we're cognizant of that fact.
Yes.
That nobody's challenging that.
Yes.
That the ramifications, whether you like it or not,
yes,
that now somebody somewhere is going to stand up and say, "See, we told you.
You told us that the election was free and fair, according to all the observers,
yes,
in the world, who are here. Some we don't even have control over. Say the election was free and fair." So because we do not want to live in a cloud, we want to live in fact and truth. The Bible says, know the truth and it shall make you free.
Yes.
So we want to free our minds so that we get away from this matter and this hangover of election results.
Yes.
Whether they were rigged or not rigged. And that's what an audit does. So I don't see any malice.
Yes.
In this, I clearly see a country that has a leader who is very mature and understands fully well,
yes,
that Kenya shall never fight again because of an election result. And that is what will make, in fact, if we can have a digital election so that people don't go to the streets, we have 1 week holiday. We ensure everybody votes. Hakuna kuharakisha watu. People vote, so that you have the entire country coming out to vote. And these are the things, this audit will also give us more intelligence on some of the happenings behind
So just focus on anything other than the final outcome of the results. Would you want the final outcome again be given to you?
Look, the final outcome was already given. An audit, an audit, you see, this audit is, I believe, comes in various tiers.
Yes.
There is an audit of the system itself.
Yes.
Remember, we had a manual system, which was the manual registration, where you have the book.
Yes.
And we had the digital system. How did they perform? Right? These are audits digital audit that is being done.
Yes, sir.
All right. And then giving, like, sharing of the results.
Yes.
How was that done?
Transmission.
Yes. Thank you. The transmission of results.
Yes.
From form 39
all the way to 34.
From 34 all the way. Were they being done as according to, was there a point where this transmission went somewhere
before
then finally it was changed, like there was the issue of PDF and the JPEG.
That's it. So
isn't it? So this audit will give us and show us what happened.
That's it. So what you want is just a qualitative analysis as opposed to a quantitative analysis.
Qualitative and quantitative. It has to be both.
But then quantitative would have an implication.
I don't have an issue with the results being read again, because the results will remain the same. I'm very confident.
It's an audit.
Yes, no, I'm saying to you honestly.
Yes,
it was a close election.
Yes,
I'm very confident that William Samoei Ruto won the election.
Yes,
even if they were to count them again, going even by the sample that was done in the Supreme Court. it did not prove that there was any rigging.
Doesn't?
Yes.
Guess what? But just want to break to you some news this morning that I've just come into the studio. Haiti Prime Minister Ariel Henry resigns. Gugaya President Mohamed Ifan Ali, hours after Jamaica summit, pressed political transition to bring peace in a gang violence-hit country. That's according to Haiti Prime Minister. Ariel, who's already essentially has gone out. So now Haiti essentially, as currently it is, has no prime minister.
In fact,
yes,
I think one of the things I said here, yes, I said the prime minister will resign, and he has resigned. Because it had reached a place where the political chaos is getting out of hand, and you have to put the interest of the people first. As an individual, he's done the right thing, and we commend the Haitian prime minister, and we now call upon, in fact, we are calling a press conference on this matter on Haiti, because now we want the same thing that has happened to Kenya, Nadco, to be taken to Haiti. Please, Your Excellency, this wisdom that you've done here in Kenya, can we have it there? So that even these gangs, you see some of these gangs, because of the lawlessness, like the leader of the gangs is called Barbecue, something. He's a former police commander, right? We need to know the root cause of some of these outcomes. Why did these people change from being police commanders to gang leaders? And they are still Haitians. So I believe for Haiti, we need a national dialogue. We need to have everybody on the table, and we commend CARICOM and Kenya. Right now, this was one of the demands for any dialogue or for any peace to be witnessed in Haiti. And the gang coalitions of Haiti had called upon the Prime Minister to resign and step aside for peace to prevail. So now, therefore, that has happened. We demand that now even the gang leaders and the gang coalition also now come to the table and have ceasefire. No more violence. No more killing women, no more raping women, no robbery, no drama anymore. This is a new beginning, and I believe this is the calling for Kenya. Is now, this is the time.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yes, well, Prof, since we're on that, I will be coming back to either we're going to get a qualitative or quantitative analysis of the 2022 general election. Since we're still talking about this breaking news from Haiti, the story that we did yesterday on Integrity, as Professor Kidure Kindiki now saying that Kenyans forces will proceed to Haiti as earlier planned after the government signing of a reciprocal agreement with the government of Haiti in what looked like rubbishing claims that, gotta pay attention to that, that Kenyan forces were developing cold feet, going by how worse the situation is in Haiti. Kindiki noted that the process was at its pre-deployment state, insisting that it was the country's obligation as a member of the United Nations. Let's take a look at that story once we come back. Prof and Edward are going to look at it.
There was a small court matter. That small matter has been resolved because the court said we needed to have a reciprocal agreement with Haiti. That reciprocal agreement has already been signed about a week ago. So we are now in the pre-deployment stage. All the other programs are in place, including the status of forces agreement and the laws on detention, arrests, and other enforcement measures are now in place. The standard operation procedures are in place, and Kenyan police officers will be just part of the multinational security mission in Haiti. Kenya is the lead nation, but there are so many other countries that have pledged to contribute troops. And this came from the mandate of the United Nations Security Council. So it's part of our international obligations. The court matter has been addressed. And that other rumor you are talking about, I think, tell the source of that rumor to return it wherever it came from.
That's it. Still extending on those breaking news that we have for you this morning, that Haiti Prime Minister Ariel Henry has resigned. That's according to Guyana President Mohamed Ifan Ali.
Yeah.
So they still have to go. The rumors, and they've been dispelled by the Interior CS, that Kenyan forces are not developing cold feet on it. The only thing that we needed is just a pre-code agreement which has already been signed between the two countries, and Kenyan troops now are in the pre-stage of leaving the country.
Yeah, that's laughable. An illegitimate leader like Ariel Henry signing an agreement with a legitimate president was a joke. I'm sure that Kenya needs to work on its foreign policy. There are certain things you don't do. I'm an expert in foreign policy. As an economist, you only have to know foreign policy. That's why I usually tell people that if there's anything you need to do, well, be a strategist. Because strategists, you have to understand foreign policy, you have to understand economics, you have to understand anthropology, you have to understand sociology, you have to understand psychology, you have to understand human resource. It's more that you have to understand all that when you're doing something. So I'm sure the president is a botanist, but maybe he has no knowledge on international policy. He was not supposed to sign an agreement with an illegitimate president. And when I'm hearing Kindiki talking, I'm also worried, because Kindiki is a lawyer. Why has he forgotten his legal hat? According to me, after that guy has resigned, having signed an agreement with you, does that agreement stand? Because did he sign that as head of government of Haiti? Or did he sign in his individual capacity? Has Haitians acknowledged that signature? Is it the reason why he could not land in his country? Maybe it is by signing that agreement that he had to resign. So then the agreement is null and void, according to me, is null and void. And the fact is null and void, by Professor Kindiki thumping his chest by saying now we are in a pre-deployment stage, is a joke. As I always say that for me, Kenya Kwanza has a lot of cluelessness in anything, and Professor Kindiki is among the most qualified people in that cabinet. If he can speak like that, it shows he's not cognizant of what's happening. In fact, I'm so concerned why Professor Kindiki is not focusing on the most important thing in the internal security docket. If I was his president, I could have told him that Interior, the Minister of Interior is the most corrupt ministry in Kenya. And by statistics, if you go to the anti-corruption, followed by health. So he should be focusing on how to reduce that corruption. And if he's presiding over it, it is a problem. And the way I saw Professor Kindiki before he took other office, I don't see him the same way. In fact, Kenyans knew that he was among the most qualified people. That's why many people are saying that he was supposed to be the deputy to William Ruto. But now with his comments, I'm having another challenge. Very secondly, have you ever seen whereby a head of state can hand over something to a minister to hang himself with? You ever seen that? William Ruto knows that Kindiki has power because of the fact that people seem to have been one of the most qualified people in his Kenya Kwanza camp. And in fact of him saying that he wants to take a woman for 2027 and to drop Gachagua, Kindiki was saying, if it was me versus Gachagua, why is it that now it is Gachagua versus another woman? So he wants to finish Kindiki with this thing. Remember that when Kibaki was the president, Raila Odinga was a prime minister. He gave Raila to sort out the issue of the Mau. And that's how Raila fell off with that thing. That thing hung Raila totally and completely. Because the Minister for Environment was supposed to take care of it, but it was given to Raila. And with Raila going to Mau and trying to clear the Mau thing, yes, it hung Raila totally. So Kindiki has been given a troubled problem, a troubled issue. So how he's talking by now saying the deployment will continue anyway, and whatever will happen to our children in that place will come back to bite him. I would have to advise my fellow Professor Kindiki, please withdraw that statement. Let William Ruto make those statements himself. He has been elected president. Maybe you have a future in politics. Maybe you can come and work with us in our government in future. Withdraw that statement, let William Ruto face his own thing. Let him execute that, because let me tell you what, when William Ruto, who had been in charge of executing everything, delegates something to you, run away from it. If it was Kibaki delegating to me, I could take because he would mean well. But William Ruto, I don't think that was the case. But you see, Raila was Kibaki's opponent. So giving him Mau Forest to clear was a way to clear Raila off. Remember that the Rift Valley people voted Raila to the last man in 2007 election. How comes he never saw even a tenth of those votes when he was running in 2013, 2017, 2022? Remember that happened after Mau issue. Raila never had any sympathy from Rift Valley. And in fact, for Kindiki, remember that for me, Haiti decision is a commercial decision. It's not a security decision. Why am I saying it's commercial? The commercial interest in this Haiti is the issue. Remember that already the soldiers who are going to Haiti, the government of Kenya has paid medical and health insurance for them. Do you know that? And they have used an insurance company belonging to the president to do that. So having done that, they have already received the insurance premium. They are not willing to return that money. So Kenyans must go to Haiti, we like it or not, because we have a commercial president, we have a business president, we don't have a president who runs like head of state. So for me, that is the main thing. And many people have already seen the benefit of all these things going to Haiti. So there must be, the benefits must come, so these people must go. It's like a tourist has booked a ticket to come to Kenya. They've already booked your hotel. They're going to stay in your hotel. The people going to Haiti, the people want to supply for them food, supplying for them a dress. There are a lot of supplies to them. Yes. I can tell you, war is commercial. And I'm not speaking from the president. I don't be concerned. Let me give you the example of what happened in the US when we had the Gulf War.
Yes.
Halliburton is a company that belonged to Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was the vice president, was going to be the running mate for Clinton.
Yes.
And because Dick Cheney financed Bill Clinton in the election using the money from the Gulf War, because he was the one supplying food. You know, if one plate was $2, Dick Cheney charged $5. So because it is the government that was deploying the army there, he was making $2 per plate. And if they are doing 3 plates in a day, 3 times 3 is $9, which was above net profit. For a period when they are there for 5 years, how much are you making? That's why he financed the election of Bill Clinton. And by financing the election of Bill Clinton, yes, he was made vice president. This is how I'm telling you, war is commercial. For people, no need to fight. Guns must be used. Someone manufacturing guns don't want peace in the world, isn't it? They want guns to continue being used. If you're manufacturing bullets, do you want people not to fight? Then you're out of business. If you're manufacturing coffin, don't you want people to die so that you can solve the problem? So according to me, it's a commercial issue between the US, because Americans like war, because Americans are the one who manufacture guns, they manufacture weapons, isn't it? Because the weapons won't come from Russia, weapons will come from the US. So according to me, this is a whole commercial thing. Did you not read in history why Ethiopia and Somalia were never colonized? Who was the colonizer for Somalia? Did you know the country? There was no commercial viability of colonizing Somalia. That's why no colonizer was fighting for it. Yet some countries that were important, strategic important, were being fought over, scramble, and the scramble for Africa was a big issue. The scramble for the heart of Africa, DRC Congo, had to be colonized because they have minerals. What is minerals are there in Ethiopia? Ethiopia was not colonized. Kenya was, see, because now there are 2 countries in Africa which are of strategic importance in the world. This is Kenya and South Africa, because Kenya gives you access to the Middle East. Without Kenya, you cannot enter Middle East. You understand? But you see, South Africa also gives you access to the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean and the Pacific. So you talk about the Cape, the Southern Cape, isn't it? That's why the Gundis are now killing people in the Red Sea. When the Gundis went to the Red Sea and made it impossible for you to pass and enter through the Red Sea, so I'm trying to tell you here, my brother, this thing is more commercial. it is less to do with the issues that we are discussing here by saying we are trying to destroy security. But nevertheless, let me highlight, because for every cloud there's a silver lining. If I was
silver lining is coming.
Yes. If I was the president, I would have used the Haiti issue to do what happened, for example, between Kenya and Tanzania, Somalia, and South Africa. If the president was going to help Haiti have peace and have control, later Kenya can do better in terms of trade relationships. But if Kenya enters Haiti in a way that interferes with the freedom of Haitians, it's a mistake. Now, let me tell you what, and mark my word, Henry was an illegitimate leader. Now that the leader of the gang has taken over and he has resigned, and RUTO was going to deploy the policemen against the gangs, have you not seen Kenya is on the wrong side of history with Haiti? It's clear. This is logical, isn't it? Because the leader of the gang was somebody else, and you're deploying people against him, and you warned Kenya, don't come here, don't interfere with us, we'll sort our issue. Now the guy has resigned, the guy who you signed to. So whom is Kenya going to do business with? So according to me, the president needs some education on foreign policy and diplomacy. Some of us who are taken for granted, you call me professor. Let me tell you what, there are some things we know. You cannot be a professor for nothing. But we're not a professor for books. Me, I've done these things practically. When I was in Europe, we did all these things with Italy, Greece, Portugal, Spain. Understand it not from the point of view of reading a book. Understand from the point of dealing with heads of states and governments. And seeing how you don't just run at anyone, anything. Kenya just run. Every opportunity you are running, don't be too desperate. Just be calm. Calculate, study, and have the right move. When you're playing a chess, be calm. The president is too much in a hurry, and being in a hurry, he's making so many obvious mistakes.
Pretty much. Gadaiga, it's on, and the factors at play here. Henry is out, and the prayer code was essentially signed by him as well, because we needed his signature for us to be in the country. Kenya is the lead nation. What we do expect is some other nations are also going to keep on donating their troops to Haiti. By the virtue of him stepping out, should we still continue with this? Because the guy who we signed against is out.
You see, first of all, he was not illegitimate. The situation in Haiti is that the president was killed. The prime minister has been there. He's not somebody who just came in and took over power. He did not just walk into the state house of Haiti and just take over. No, he has been there in government, and he was the next person in power. So the illegitimacy issue that Professor is raising is null and void. However, I would like to commend the Prime Minister of Haiti for accepting to resign, because that shows you that indeed he has put the interest of Haiti in front of his own interest. And he has decided that now we need to have a deeper dialogue and look at this thing deeper, so that we can also realize, is it the gangsters who are just picking on the prime minister and saying he's the reason why there's a fight? But however, I want to point out again, this whole aspect of Haiti has a sequence of how it started. So Haiti went to the United Nations and made an application for assistance. And the United Nations Security Council, which is the governing body of UN, sat down and came up with a resolution 2699. And 2699 opened the floor of the United Nations to volunteer. And Kenya volunteered, together with about 12 other countries, 8 of whom are from CARICOM. Those are the neighboring countries. Kenya was there because Kenya has experience in such matters, very close to home, Somalia. I'm sure Prof, when Kenya was going to Somalia, he was against it. But today there's a legitimate government sitting in Somalia. That was not there, I'm just saying. International obligation. The laws of Kenya provides that any international obligation that Kenya has gotten into, it has to be seen through just like any law of Kenya. So therefore we're in there. And the reason why we are going to Haiti is because Haiti has a sequence of crises. Just 4 years ago, Haiti suffered a hurricane. Another 3 years before, Haiti suffered an earthquake. Haiti has experienced a lot of hardship in the last 10 years. Not forgetting to mention the gang crisis that is there currently. Haiti has lost 3 presidents, all been assassinated by these gangsters. It's a time, and there is no nation in the world that is led by gangsters. Haiti is the only country in the world that is people are attempting gangsters to lead the country. So therefore, I can tell you clearly, the gangster leader is not in charge of the country. Yes. He may be in charge of his gang coalition, but the government still stands. The resignation of Ariel Henry does not stop the deployment, because we were not going to rescue Ariel Henry, the Prime Minister. We were going there for the people of Haiti. Notwithstanding and not forgetting, Haiti was the first African republic. Haiti was the first country to fight against slavery and defeat slavery. Yes. Haiti was the first country that brought down the French Empire run by Napoleon. No other country had ever done that. So it is our obligation as Pan-Africanists, it is our obligation as Kenya, a country that struggled against the British colonialism, went through the British Gulag. A lot of suffering of our people happened, even in the Nandis area, even in the Luo areas. All over Kenyans suffered, and we fought against the colonialists. It is our obligation now, and I believe that is one of the reasons why the president connected very fast with that country. Secondly, that country is full of resources. That country is not poor. Yes. That country is the little Congo of the Western Hemisphere. It has all minerals that are found in Congo. Are we together? So it is only the management of that country that has led that country to be where it is today. Yes. And that is why Kenya has seen the need for our intervention. I would like to point out that there is also a few delays that have been there. The deployment delays have not been because of cold feet. Kenya police forces are gallant, vigilant, and strong. They fear nothing. You've seen how they have dealt with the Al-Shabaab and the gangs that used to terrorize the Mamambogas here in Kenya. However, there's been delays in the US Congress in disbursement of the funds. Those are some of the delays that has led to this. But please note, immediately Kenya signed the agreement with the Haitian counterpart. Yes. That is when the gangsters realized that this is a serious mission. And indeed, they were following what the Kenyan courts had made a decision on that. But because, like Ndiki said, that is now water under the bridge, we are now going to Haiti. Not because of selfishness. And indeed, I would like my brother, a professor of good repute, to apologize for trying to say that we have a business president. How can he say that? I mean, that is wrong. Brother, you want to be a president and you're insulting the current president. You'll also have to go through the same. So what I'm saying is this. Yes. The telephone call that happened between Blaken, it's all over the media, and His Excellency, was because of this crisis. In fact, almost every other foreign nation, even the ones in the G7 that have embassies, were already evacuating their citizens out of the country, Haiti. Yes. And therefore, Ariel to resign, and like my brother is saying, was the best move ever, so that Haiti can see peace. Yes. Okay?
There's a question that
the other thing is lawlessness and the jailbreak. Imagine in Kenya, industrial area, Kamiti, the jails, all those criminals who are in those jails are released and go out to the streets. Can you imagine the chaos and the violence? That's why it has increased. Because you have criminals now, apart from the ones you're calling the gangs, now you have those hardcore criminals who had already been sentenced to jail, some because of murder, some because of robbery and other issues. So therefore, this entire thing is to avert genocide that was being planted by the gangs.
Pretty much.
And therefore, we will also call a press conference to say that now the gangs need to put down their weapons, and they need to put down their weapons and put the lives of the Haitian people first. If they really mean good, Mr. Barbecue, put down those weapons, because the Kenya police and the CARICOM troops are coming, and they are going to rescue the people of Haiti, like the people of Haiti rescued all the Africans during the slavery period.
Yes. Just take a minute, because there's another issue that I want us to look at this morning, gentlemen, because we only have 8 minutes left for this particular conversation this morning. It's a question here that has been asked, that now that Ariel Henry has resigned, does the deal signed at State House still hold water? It is now clear that there isn't a legitimate government in Haiti that can have any bilateral relations with Kenya. So then he asked the questions. This is Amos III who's asking the question: should our president go slow on this?
Look, the question of legitimacy was not even there before.
To begin with?
Yes. And nobody can resign from illegitimacy.
No, but
hold on. You know, even St. James, I don't know, James
Amos
III, Amos III, you cannot resign from illegitimacy. Okay, so he was legitimate.
He was legitimate.
Exactly.
But now he's resigned.
He's resigned because
this deal.
No, look, no. He's resigned because
this deal is between.
No, listen, brother.
Yes.
It is knowledge that the crisis in Haiti has reached a level unlike before.
Does it?
The level of violence and death is going towards genocide.
Yes,
and therefore, the Haitian Prime Minister has said, it is not because of me that these deaths will continue. Let me resign so that you can see the true culprits. And that is why I am challenging the gangsters in Haiti to also, because Ariel Henry has resigned, can you also put down your weapons and allow some form of normalcy to come back? Let me ask you a question. When women cannot access hospitals, when people cannot even go to school, Mr. Gangsters, I'm talking to you from a Kenyan perspective. We love Haiti in Africa, and we want to see the best for Haiti. However, the direction the gangster coalition and those others are taking this country, we as Africans will not sit aside and see you destroy such a great nation.
Pretty much. Prof, take a minute on this, please, because we still have to look at the sentiments of one Moses Kuria on the illicit bullfighting in the country. That the courts stopped us from going to Haiti because of one reason, that the Prime Minister had appended the signature on their accord, isn't it? Now, the Prime Minister appended the signature on their accord, then were given the green light to go. But the same man who appended the signature on their accord stands up and says, I resign.
Don't forget, because there was supposed to be an election.
Listen,
he's resigned to give an opportunity for election and other matters to go on. So that people cannot use his name. The gangsters can stop using his name and saying, the reason why we are killing people, the reason why we are raping people, the reason why we're denying Haitians the right to freedom is because of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has resigned.
Yes. Give Prof a chance. Currently as it is, this deal between Kenya and Haiti, does this still stand?
It does not legally have any basis for the moment. It's just for optics. But let me just explain to my brother here that I told him I'm an expert in this matter. How did Ariel Henry become the Prime Minister? The Colombian mercenaries assassinated the former Prime Minister by the name Jovenel Moise. Colombian mercenaries assassinated him. And then Ariel became the Prime Minister in 2021. And he was mandated. One, the issue of corruption was hated by these gangs and actually the Haitian people. And secondly, he was supposed to organize for an election. By the way, remember that the resignation of Ariel Henry is not his own volition. A meeting was taking place in Puerto Rico, and it was passed that he had to resign. They have already put up a council, a presidential council, to now do transition. So he was told, actually he had agreed that as soon as that council is in place, he'll resign. So there's a council in place, which has been set up. So that council looked to the transition in Haiti. In fact, it's not the gangsters who are going to be in charge. it is just still a presidential council. Gangsters were on the street not because they want to take over. They're on the street because they wanted. There should be an election. There should be a legitimate government. In Haitians, even in terms of the face of the people of Haiti, Ariel Henry was illegitimate because of how he came to power. So then what we're addressing here is that for the first time, if this council accepted, then they do peaceful transition so that they get somebody else in charge of Haiti as head of state, then there'll be peace in Haiti. In that matter, we do not need to have policemen so that Haitian people can do an election. We don't need to have policemen going there so that they can in peace. Yes. They are not in peace because of lack of police. But also remember that the gangs had taken over police stations. Actually, they were controlling 80% of the capital city. So even if Henry was to come back, where was he going to land? So now he remains in Puerto Rico. He has expressed interest to one day come back, but at least he's being advised that he still cannot come back because until peace is in place. So the fact that he's the person who signed that contract, that agreement between him and the president, and he's not in office, and now there's a transition council. Now the question should not be asking Kenyans whether that contract is legitimate. You should be asking the council of transition whether they recognize that particular contract. Let us not behave like God. Pretty much. We're just human beings. So the council, do they acknowledge that one? Yes. And will the council allow the Kenyan police to be deployed for the sake of peace? Because sometimes we can actually be thinking by sending the police there, we are bringing peace, and by them saying, we want to control our country. We want to be in charge. If the gangs could take our police station, why don't you negotiate a peaceful agreement and give amnesty to these gangs who have been very good policemen, actually in a destructive manner, to become now constructive and help bring peace than to deploy foreigners in their country? Because the deployment of foreigners could be the main reason why these guys are in upheavals. We need to ask people of Haiti, have you seen that there's a need for a police to be deployed? Let's forget about American interests who says they need to have there. Let's negotiate this with people. We are not God. These people also have a right in Kenya. Will you allow the deployment of Somali police to come here? Like now we have less. Will you accept that Uganda deploys policemen in Kenya to take care of us? Like now in Baragoi, we have an issue. We have an issue in northeastern. Will you be told now, let's bring policemen from Ethiopia to help take care of the issue in that place? We are going to lose our sovereignty. So let's protect and respect the sovereignty of Haiti.
Pretty much. We step up, gentlemen, but I'm going to call you back again because it's a developing issue now. So we talk about it. I'm going to add it to you. I'm going to add it to you. Once you respond to this, also add to that. Okay. Guess what? Sheila, please, we're stepping out. Take us back to the Standard this morning. On page 8, there's a story there of Kuria faulting the state's illicit booze fight, where public service CS Moses Kuria criticized the latest government bid to tackle alcoholism in Central. He said, go in and use intellectual and soft approach. Yes. Intellectual and soft approach.
It's hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy.
Moses Kuria has been a hypocrite. When he was the Minister of Trade, he was one of the most critical about the illicit brew, contraband, and counterfeit. Now, I believe this is just political games. This is, Moses Kuria is just trying to outshine, or he's fighting Gachagua. And he should stop. Because he should concentrate on his public service docket, not trying to criticize everything His Excellency the Deputy President is doing.
Pretty much.
Moses Kuria is always trying to outshine him. The other day we heard that because Gachagua did not go for the football tournament, Moses Kuria was all up in flames. We are asking Moses Kuria, sober up. This matter of alcohol, wacha mambo mingi kutuambia soft, intellectual. Our children are dying, where wacha?
Prof, 10 seconds. Soft intellectual approach. 10 seconds only.
According to me, alcohol issue exists in Kenya because even the policemen want them to continue. So long as So long as the policemen still want it to continue, and that's why we talk about this book we read in secondary school called VCT.
Yes.
Where you want some problem to continue because it gives you money. The fight against alcoholism, the approach is wrong from the beginning.
Yes.
There's just what we need to address. Kenyans cannot afford the alcohol which are being produced by manufacturers. What is the alternative? Let's not waste time in discussion. Mutudo had it all. Everything is there, what we need to do.
Pretty much. Questions abound on whether the Interior Ministry is doing something that Nakada should be doing in this country. We're going to table that particular conversation correctly with this gentleman once we have that time. Haiti issue is developing. Questions are also getting asked if that particular agreement that we had with Haiti it still stands upon the resignation of Henry. Guess what? Take them back online to the time that they joined us right here at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. Always a good time with this gentleman, by the way. And I know you have essentially gone back in and weighed in on exactly what it is that we're saying, and you'll continue as well on the hashtag The Morning Drift. Guess what? Tomorrow is a good time for us to do this. Goodbye. And by the way, the doctor strike is beginning today. Gentlemen, we don't know how it's going to be. We'll talk about it next week as well. Goodbye.